As they say, nothing foretold. I slapped my falling boots on the snow and thought a heavy thought about the meaning of my life. What is he in? The husband is a loser, the children are losers and liars, there is always no money. And there are no other shoes, except for these boots, dead sneakers, and, well, summer slippers. And how do people manage to live well, eat deliciously, relax on the seas and teach children at universities? My not only university, even college does not shine. Why is everything for some and nothing for others? Well, why am I worse than that thief in a fur coat? Look, stare, wipe the disgust from your face, you might think that she earned a fur coat herself. I saw the car, but it was too late. With a strong push I was thrown off the road, and I hurt, the liquid hood did not save. I hit my head on the metal fence around the flower bed. She groaned, barely got up and looked around. There was no car, he left, you bastard. Somehow she hobbled, nothing at all to the house, half a block. The head felt like a cast iron kettle. As I entered the courtyard, I whistled in surprise. This is what happens. For half a day, while I was gone, they put up a playground, and filled up a huge pit, and even planted trees. They can when they want. And still fools, well, who plants trees in February? She put the key to the intercom, entered the entrance. She slowly climbed to her third floor, marveling at the cleanliness of the stairs and the absence of obscene graffiti on the walls. That's how you go to work, you'll miss everything. I stared at the doors of my own and neighboring apartments for a long time. Ordinary plywood doors, thickly painted with a dull blue oil paint, turned into massive iron doors of a noble copper-brown color. And my key doesn't fit. Well, who is such a kind one who turned up, to put us a door worth as much as my entire salary? What is going on? I took out a phone from my pocket, a simple old diamond. I could not go broke for more. It was completely broken and did not even turn on. A door slammed downstairs, and someone began to climb the stairs. I don't know why I went up one flight. I immediately decided that when the newcomer passes me, I will pretend to go down. Didn't have to go down. Because this woman stopped on the third floor, took out the keys from her beautiful bag and began to open the door to my apartment. I wanted to make a scene and started towards the steps, but then the woman turned her head and looked at me. It's like I was looking in a mirror. It was me. In an expensive sheepskin coat, in a long fluffy scarf, with a short haircut and makeup, but it was me. She entered the apartment, the locks clicked. I just stood at the top, digesting what I saw. What does it mean? Maybe I, bruised in the head, mixed up the house. But the intercom was open. And how to explain the sameness of me and this woman? The door below opened again, the entrance was filled with cheerful voices. Dad, have you noticed that Mom is already at home? I noticed, the light is on, so she is waiting for us. Dad, can you help with math? Homework was given, but I did not really understand. I'll help you understand. But you will do it yourself. Agreed. And then, of course we agreed. These three, a man, a girl and a boy, also stopped at my apartment. The girl pressed the bell. I refused to believe my eyes. This is my family, my husband and my children. Only now they are dressed. They never had such clothes. Obviously not on the market bought. And what a handsome man. Slender, fit, shaved. I see him more and more overgrown, in sweatpants and under a fly. The click of a lock, joy, fun, laughter. The closed door cut off the sounds of someone else's happiness from my ears, where I have no place. I went down the stairs and out the door. She breathed in the cold air. The sick head felt a little better. And I realized another oddity. The last snow fell 4 days ago. And he evenly covered the slides and horizontal bars on the playground, the place where there was a pit, and trees, that is, everything that was not yet there this morning. So, it was still a mistake. And a copy of my family, well, what just does not happen? And I went to look for my house. I did not find another house, the one in which I was my home. And the entrance, and the apartment on the 3rd floor. I didn't understand anything. I had to spend the night at the railway station in the waiting room. I have not been here for a long time, the station has changed beyond recognition. Another surprise was the fact that the money had changed in a strange way. I wanted to buy a suspiciously cheap pie for 30 rubles. I had a 50 kopeck piece, hard-earned, a normal bill, the same as those that I had held in my hands 1,000 times, in the usual purple color with a portrait of Alexander V. But the man in front of me took out a blue 50-ruble bill with some building that looked like a theater. And I was left without a pie, they didn't sell it to me. Early in the morning I returned to my house and hid in a nook with a garbage chute at the next entrance. I saw many of my friends. Rather, these people were very similar to those whom I knew. But they were different, with different hairstyles, in unusual clothes for them. Vasyuk finished me off, an orphanage graduate who received an apartment on the 1st floor 5 years ago. I knew that he was drinking and was interrupted by random hackwork at construction sites. Now he came out of the entrance in a suit and an open coat, with a briefcase in his hands, made a sound with a key fob and got behind the wheel of a parked car. Vasek. By car. While I was blinking my eyes, the entrance door swung open, and my whole family in full force went out onto the porch. Children with backpacks, a husband with a bourset, and I in full dress, in heels and with styling. We got into a big black car and drove away 5 minutes later. I came out of my hiding place. Need to do something. Come up with something. All day I hung around the streets, since the frost was not strong. I didn't understand why, but things weren't the same as usual. My city, the streets and buildings are the same. But the monuments are different. Where, as long as I can remember, the great Nicholas II with Tsarevich Alexei always stood, there was a pedestal with some kind of F.E. Dzerzhinsky. Never heard of him. Advertising is also different. Colored billboards reported that Magnet had discounts. What else is a magnet? There has always been an advertisement for an inexpensive Caraway chain store. I usually buy groceries there myself. These stores are everywhere, throughout our country from the Polish voivodeship and the Grand Duchy of Finland to Sakhalin. Why is there some kind of magnet here now, and where did the loaf go? I went to the store to warm up. She went and looked. The packages and wrappers of the goods were generally unfamiliar. The names are also unknown, except perhaps for the mineral water, Narzan, and Essentuki. And then I got lucky. A man about 5 meters from me, taking something out of his pocket, dropped the money and, without noticing it, went further along the row. I immediately approached, stepped on the banknote, stood for a while, studying the shelves. She bent down, giving the appearance of tying a shoelace, picked up a piece of paper, put it in her pocket, and left the store. On the street I examined the money. It was a blue-green thousandth bill, called the billet of the Bank of Russia. What does Russia mean? And in our other principalities, what other money? I had a feeling that from not understanding everything that was happening, I was about to be torn apart. And I also wanted to eat. The last time I ate yesterday was lunch in our working canteen. I really hoped that 1,000 would be enough. I walked through the park to the Grigory Rasputin Memorial. There was no memorial. Instead, a wall with carved images of people stood in a semicircle. On the plate was written, "Wall of Memory to the Fallen Soldiers of the Great Patriotic War 1941–1945. I felt my head spin again. What kind of war? She tensed, remembering the lessons of history. We didn't have any war, that's for sure. It seems that in Europe there were some internecine conflicts in those years, but so that the war. Across the road, a little to the side, I remember, there was a network pancake, honey circle. I went there, almost certain that there would be no pancake. And I was not mistaken. There was a McDonald's there. I hope they have pancakes. In the evening I returned to my house and almost ran into my doppelganger. The other me left the entrance and walked towards the avenue on foot. I followed her, not really hiding. Hardly anyone would notice our resemblance in the dark, especially since she was in a short puffy jacket, and I was in a shabby knee-length coat. So she reached the pedestrian crossing, the very one on which I was hit by a car yesterday. She stopped, waiting for the green light. I sped up, walked over to her and stood next to her. The sense of smell caught the subtle smell of perfume, a very pleasant, obviously expensive aroma. And I felt so embarrassed. I will never have such perfume. I won't have a jacket like that in sparkling silver. I will never have a life like hers. And it's not fair. I looked around. There were no people nearby. And then I made up my mind. She tore off her pink backpack from her back and pushed her with all her might onto the same fence. She screamed, fell and hit her face. I ran to the side and looked back. She was nowhere. Not near the flower bed, not on the road. Could this be? The tousled snow confirmed that I had not dreamed of my meanness. However, it turned out quite well. Okay, let's see what's in the backpack. Cosmetic bag, hairbrush, phone, keys to the apartment, wallet with money. The usual set of an ordinary woman. There was a lot of money in the wallet. Well, in my opinion, a lot. Maybe in this strange world, such a sum is quite modest. A bitten apple was depicted on the back of the unusually thin phone. That's bullshit. Is it considered beautiful here? As soon as I thought about it, the phone vibrated in my hands, and the word, favorite, appeared on the screen. I thought for a moment, then ran a green circle with my finger along the path to the right. Yes. Hello, dear. It's a pity you didn't come with us, it's fun here. The children and I will stay for an hour, they don't want to leave. Fine. I will wait for you at home. Expensive. What's up with your voice? Everything is fine. It's okay, it's just noisy in here. Okay, bye, we'll be there soon. Kiss. I clicked on the red circle. I don't need it soon. I need time. Across the road, the words, beauty salon, glowed purple. I hope there is what I need. 3 hours later, having been in my luxurious apartment to my heart's content, having admired the new haircut in all the mirrors, taking a fragrant foam bath, dressed up in a delicate silk shirt and went to the bedroom. There was still no husband and children, and this was by the way, it would be embarrassing for me to communicate with them right away. And the next morning I got sick, and this was also helpful. It allowed me to get used to my new family and to a different life. And after 2 weeks, it began to seem to me that I had always lived like this, and my past was just a dream. 2 years have passed. Everything has changed. My life no longer seemed like a fairy tale to me. My husband no longer called me native, almost did not give me money, More and more often he was late at work and came drunk. The children did not obey me, did not put me in anything. At school they moved out to deuces. Even the apartment, a beautiful sparkling apartment, was tarnished and cluttered. Why am I so unlucky? In the evening I went to the store. Slowly, creaking in the snow, she made her way to the avenue and walked along the sidewalk along the road. At the pedestrian crossing, two people blocked my way. Listen, Aunt. Fuck grandmas. I have no money, I snapped and tried to bypass them. What are you? From a strong push in the shoulder, I began to fall and did not hear the whole phrase. She hit her head on the fence around the flower bed and passed out for a few moments. When I came to my senses, the hooligans were gone. Groaning and groaning, she got up. I would like to go home, but I need to buy bread and butter. Slowly wandered to the magnet. I did not immediately realize that instead of a sign with red letters, a yellow Caravai was lit above the entrance. Loaf. How is that? Forgetting about the bread, she ran home. Rushed past the monument to Great Nicholas II with Tsarevich Alexei. She ran under the archway and stopped in her tracks. My whole family was with me in the yard, laughing out loud. They made a snowman and threw snowballs. Ma'am, Pop, the daughter yelled, let's make his nose out of icicles instead of carrots. And the husband took an icicle in his hands, put it on the snowman, then grabbed me, that other me, in an armful and funny smacked on the nose. And again the snowballs flew. For a long time I stood in the shade under the archway. I was filled with resentment. Why weren't they so cheerful and friendly with me? My family seems to be happy. Happy without me. Without me. Gradually, resentment was replaced by resentment. Well, I do not. This is my family. I am the mother of my children. And I will return to them. You just need to lure the hated double to the avenue to that pedestrian crossing and switch again. They were already approaching the entrance, when that other me turned her head and looked carefully straight into the shadow under the archway, where I pressed my back against the wall. Then she turned and said something to her husband. He nodded and led the children to the entrance, and she turned around and stomped straight to the arch. I ran away from home. Looking back, I was convinced that she was running after me. And I continued to run with all my might. She ran to the flower bed with the ill-fated fence, stopped and, breathing heavily, turned to her pursuer. She slowed down, gradually took a step and, in the end, was about 5 meters from me. Her mocking and at the same time hateful look was unbearable. She must have wanted to say something. I wanted to, but I didn't have time. I pounced on her, grabbed her slippery jacket and jerkily dragged her to the flower bed. It finally dawned on her what exactly I wanted to do. She tightly clung to me, began to rest her feet on the ground, screaming and calling for help. I gathered all the strength I had left, growled and threw it against the fence. From this jerk, I myself fell to the side, and when I got up, I found that I was alone near the flower bed. There was no double. In the distance could be seen a monument to Nicholas with Alexei. I'm home. A year later, the children began to fend off hands again. The husband started drinking. Why is this punishment for me? But now I know what to do in order to live the way I want, in a normal family with a loving husband and well-behaved children. I'll go, perhaps, take a walk to the avenue.